Okay, sorry about that. I've been speaking without audio mic on. I mute it every time. So, well, again, let's pretend that didn't happen. So today, CRS-18 going to the ISS. This was the backup launch window. Yesterday they tried it, but then it was called off because of weather. Today they're going to do the same again. If weather is still no go at T-minus 30 seconds, they will call off the launch. Next launch opportunity will probably be the 1st of August because of a progress going to the station, docking and undocking. There is one progress that is gonna undock, and then there's another one that's going up to the ISS and then dock. So that's what's happening and why the Dragon can't fly to the ISS in that time period. Yeah. Someone else I know is streaming as well, but yeah. Hopefully the SpaceX stream gets online soon. So yeah, hopefully, let me check, is it still go? Yep, it is. So yeah, after launch, like if we hit the 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I'll have to check, but I will see it in the window, like the map SpaceX shows you. Come on, yes. Hopefully we'll go live. Oh, my screen just got darker, but I could turn the lights on, but I also couldn't because you can still see me if it's okay. It's so hot. It is unbelievable. So yeah, I don't know what launch it was, but I believe it was for either CRS-10 or CRS-11 that launched in summer too, and it was supposed to be visible in here in like my place, but then it got delayed at the end of the day afterwards. It was cloudy as hell, so yeah. Today is... There are some clouds, different clouds sometimes, but I see stars, so I hope I'm able to catch it this time. So yeah. Why are you doing this? Is the audio buffering or is it just me? Probably just me. So yeah, hopefully we'll have a launch today. And Starhopper aborted its launch yesterday. It was supposedly because of cold propellants, and yeah, strange. It was higher chamber pressure than expected, so they aborted the launch. Which would make sense, because if you have higher chamber pressure than expected, you have higher thrust, which is a really good thing. But hopefully they will do it tonight, and if they have a good launch, they will. I really hope it goes up. So yeah, T-minus 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Let's see. Weather is go, yes! We're gonna have a launch. Okay, drop my shuttle. No. It's so hot, I'm sticking to my seat. Why is it so hot? This launch is carrying the International Docking Adapter 3. The first one got lost on CRS-18, so they're relaunching one to go on to the PMA adapters, so they can have both a Dragon and a CST-100 dock to the ISS, which is cool because it's gonna expand the capability of the ISS. Will require one spacewalk to complete the whole thing. And then, yeah, there go for launch. So, yeah. Yeah. Now we're good for launch, so yeah. And for everybody watching this afterwards, this is also me just trying new things in OBS, because I downloaded a program which actually shows in the OBS program my YouTube chat. So this is way easier, because normally I would have two windows open and it would be difficult, but it works. And my bitrate is still good, no drop frames. No, sounds good. We're go for launch. Hey. Finally. That's a long time waiting. It's 15 minutes now. Approximately 16, actually. waiting. So yeah, CRS-18. 2 more Dragon 1 flights left afterwards. Now we're moving to Dragon 2. I'll just wait for SpaceX to go live. So it's gonna fly for 36 hours before it docks.
Liftoff, Falcon 9.
Hold on to this needs to move up.
It's just before 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, July 25th, and we're looking at a live view of Cape Canaveral Space Launch Complex 40, where a flight-proven Falcon 9 is about to launch a flight-proven Dragon spacecraft. Now,
Okay, 3,
weather
2,
has
1.
significantly improved over yesterday, with today's liftoff targeted for 6:01 p.m. Eastern Time, or 10:01 p.m. Coordinated Universal Time. My name is Shiva Bharadwaj. I'm a Falcon integration and test engineer here at SpaceX. Thank you for tuning in for our 18th commercial resupply mission to the International Space Station for NASA. Now, if you watched our webcast yesterday, you know that we scrubbed at about T-minus 30 seconds for weather. These missions to the International Space Station have an instantaneous launch window, so any scrub or abort that will causes us to stand down our launch attempt for the day. Weather is still a watch item today, but currently it's go, looking much better than yesterday, and both Falcon 9 and Dragon remain ready for launch. So at this point, just under T-minus 13 minutes to go. All systems go at Cape Canaveral and SpaceX. Let's take a look at our launch vehicles.
Hi, my name is Michael Andrews and I work on the supply chain team here at SpaceX. At the top of the vehicle, you can see our Dragon spacecraft. As we mentioned yesterday during the webcast, with Dragon, with some help from Falcon 9, we'll be delivering more than 5,000 pounds of cargo to the space station on this mission, including critical materials to support dozens of science and research investigations that will occur on board the orbiting laboratory. There's a lot of great science going up in Dragon today, and we'll talk about that a bit later in the webcast. In terms of historical firsts, today's mission represents Dragon's first hat trick. This will be the first time we've flown the same Dragon spacecraft for a third mission, as you can see there by the 2 flight-proven decals on the left side of the vehicle. This particular Dragon visited the ISS for cargo resupply missions back in April of 2015 and December 2017. You'll also notice another decal on the exterior of Dragon, which SpaceX added to commemorate and celebrate the 50th anniversary of NASA's Apollo 11, the world's first mission to land humans on the lunar surface. Directly below the Dragon spacecraft is our Falcon 9 rocket. It is made of 2 stages. The first stage, which is the longest portion, will power the vehicle through Earth's gravitational pull into the vacuum of space. And once the vehicle is up there, the Falcon 9 first stage will separate from the second stage, return back to Earth, attempt to land, and be reused for future missions. Falcon 9's second stage, which sits just above the first stage, has a single Merlin vacuum or MVAC engine, which ignites after a first stage separation. The second stage is what will carry Dragon to its intended orbit, allowing the spacecraft to eventually rendezvous with the space station in a few days. And Dragon isn't the only vehicle we're reflying today. Our Falcon 9 has also flown before on the CRS-17 mission back in May of this year. You can see it still has some soot on it from its previous flight. And today we'll be attempting to land that Falcon 9 back on land at Landing Zone 1, just a few miles from the launch site you see now. Assuming weather holds up, we should get some great views of and continuous coverage of both the launch and landing out of Cape Canaveral Air Force Station today.
It's just about T-minus 11 minutes to liftoff, and the SpaceX team is currently working no significant issues. A go, no-go poll was conducted at T-minus 38 minutes, and we began loading propellants to the vehicle shortly after at T-minus 35 minutes. At this point, the fuel is loaded, our RP-1 fuel is loaded fully on the second stage and almost completely on the first stage. Our super chilled liquid oxygen loading is underway on both stages, and that will complete at about T-minus 2 minutes to liftoff. In fact, you can see the Florida atmosphere condensing from that cold liquid oxygen along the first stage tank. Now we're currently also loading helium gas into both of the stages. Falcon 9 uses helium as a pressurant to backfill the propellant tanks as we consume those propellants with the Merlin 1D engines during ascent. Dragon is also in its startup sequence that began at about T-minus 35 minutes when it coordinated timing with Falcon 9's flight computer. It's currently undergoing a series of vehicle health checks with its next major milestone in about 2 minutes when it will transition to internal battery power. The range is currently ready to support today's mission. Earlier this week, they issued safe zones for the air and sea surface around the launch trajectory, and currently both those air and sea surface areas are clear for launch. Weather is also go for launch today. Yesterday we had a hold on weather, but today it looks like a beautiful day at Cape Canaveral.
No issues,
and
yes.
We're go for an on-time launch for a weather perspective. So with that, our launch team, Falcon 9, Dragon, and the range all reporting green, and at T-minus 9 minutes and 30 seconds, all systems are currently go.
Over the last 7 years, SpaceX has made a total of 19 trips to the ISS, and we're under contract with NASA for a total of 26 of these cargo resupply missions. Today, Dragon will be carrying dozens of research payloads to the space station, including research for the National Laboratory, operated by the Center for the Advancement of Science in Space, also known as CASIS. And as I mentioned yesterday, there are more than 25 payloads included on this mission sponsored by the National Lab, the most payloads that CASIS has sent on a SpaceX CRS mission to date. The National Lab payloads represent a diverse group of research investigations, all of which are intended to benefit life here on Earth. Now let's take a look at some of the groundbreaking research from CASIS that will be on board today's CRS-18 mission.
Investigations sponsored by the International Space Station U.S. National Laboratory are primed for launch on SpaceX's 18th Commercial Resupply Services mission to the orbiting laboratory. When we say that this launch is packed with research, we mean it. This launch has more payloads than we have ever sent on a single mission. Private sector companies, academic researchers, STEM projects, life and physical sciences, all on this mission. So let's get an idea about some of the payloads that are launching on SpaceX CRS-18. The Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company is sending what they hope is the first of many investigations to the ISS National Lab. This initial experiment will evaluate the formation of silica particles in microgravity. Silica is a common material used in consumer tires. However, silica and rubber are materials that don't easily bond. Can the microgravity environment of the space station allow Goodyear to find silica morphologies not possible on Earth? If so, this could lead to improvements in fuel efficiency and other performance factors in consumer tires. The space station is an ever-evolving research platform, and NASA and the ISS National Lab are constantly sponsoring new facilities on the orbiting laboratory to increase the capacity for innovative research. This launch, America's first automated bioprinter for use in space, will make its way to station. Developed by TechShot, this bioprinter will initially seek to print cardiac-like tissue. The printed tissues will remain on station until they are strong enough for the return trip to be analyzed on Earth. While the ability to manufacture human organs is likely many years away, this bioprinter could lead to unique methods of industrial biomedicine and microgravity to develop materials for patient care on Earth. Part of the role of the ISS National Lab is to inspire and educate the next generation. And what better way to do that than by forming fun and exciting collaborations with unique partners? Not many young students understand the term non-Newtonian fluidics in a microgravity environment. However, just about every young student is familiar with Nickelodeon and its iconic slime. So on this mission, Nickelodeon Slime in Space will make its way to station for a variety of demonstrations to educate students on the basic concepts of fluid flow and microgravity paired with normal gravity conditions on Earth.
That's fine. Sending slime to the station.
So there you have it. Advanced materials, industrial biomedicine, education payloads, new facilities, and repeat flight partners. This mission represents the demand that continues to build as more researchers and companies recognize the unique potential for sustained R&D in microgravity. To learn more about all ISS National Lab sponsored payloads on this mission and how to become part of the space station research community, visit issnationallab.org.
Don't go and light fireworks, please.
In addition to the science going up with CASIS, there's another important piece of cargo residing in Dragon trunks today, a new International Docking Adapter, or IDA-3. This piece of hardware connects spacecraft to the ISS. IDA-3 attaches to the Harmony node and can accommodate commercial crew program vehicle dockings, including the first spacecraft to launch astronauts from U.S. soil since the space shuttle. IDA-3 is identical to the International Docking Adapter 2, or IDA-2, we sent on CRS-9 in the summer of 2016. And a fun fact, IDA-2 was actually used by SpaceX during our first uncrewed flight test, Demo 1, in March of this year. Later this summer, 2 Expedition 60 crew members will perform a spacewalk to permanently install the IDA-3.
Now we're currently at about T-minus 5 minutes, continuing towards our countdown for a 6:01 p.m. Eastern Time launch to the International Space Station. In these final few minutes, Falcon 9 is performing a series of final health checks on its primary communications, avionics, and propulsion systems in preparation for the flight. As I mentioned earlier, we're currently loading fuel and liquid oxygen into the propellant tanks. Currently, fuel is fully loaded on the first and second stage. Liquid oxygen is nearly fully loaded, and that'll finish up at about T-minus 2 minutes. At T-minus 7 minutes, we began engine chill-in. That's where we put a small amount of super-chilled liquid oxygen into our Merlin 1D engine turbopumps. That prepares them for full propellant flow during flight. And you may hear the announcement that the engines are sufficiently chilled in for launch later on in the countdown. Currently underway are also checkouts of the second stage's Merlin vacuum thrust vector control actuators. Those actuators move the nozzle, which we use during our guidance maneuvers on our way to orbit. Now, you may hear this referred to as our engine wiggle test, and the first stage engines will perform a similar wiggle of their Merlin 1Ds just a few seconds before ignition. Coming up at T-minus 1 minute, Falcon 9's flight computers will transition into startup mode. That's an autonomous mode that will guide the rocket through the rest of the countdown. The SpaceX launch director will give a go for launch at T-minus 45 seconds. And finally, a few seconds before liftoff, the engines are ignited. At T-minus 0, the rocket is released from the hold-down clamps on the pad, and the strongback, which is that truss structure on the left of the rocket, will retract away, clearing the way for Falcon 9's ascent. Dragon is performing a similar series of checkouts at this time to make sure its primary systems are ready for the 2-day flight it will need to rendezvous with the International Space Station. The range and weather both remain go for launch, which is great. So we're continuing on towards that 6:01 p.m. Eastern Time launch. And with that, why don't we take a listen to the nets for the final few minutes of terminal count.
Stage 1 lock slow closed out.
Should we go?
T-minus 45 seconds and counting. We've cleared our 2 constraints we were tracking earlier today. Weather's not acceptable for flight. Evaluation of Dragon paint on the trunk section indicates no concerns. Again, now T-minus 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting.
Yes, we'll go. That would be awesome. I'm gonna run outside after 15, probably. Yeah, go outside, take my camera with me. If I can show you videos later on in the stream.
Stage 2 lock load is closed out.
Hi.
Gas
Hi,
closed out,
welcome.
starting.
We're almost launching. Weather is go, it improved, so hopefully
Falcon 9's in startup.
yes.
Dragon isn't started.
Let's go.
for launch.
Yes, we'll go. Finally. 30 seconds. Here we go.
T-minus 30 seconds.
No hold, so we'll go.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Yes.
Ignition.
Yes.
Liftoff.
We have Lily.
Stage 1 propulsion nominal.
Hopefully we'll get the images until stage operation stuff. Wow.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
So I am gonna see it coming over my house 20 minutes after launch, which is epic.
And there is successful liftoff of Falcon 9 carrying our 18th resupply mission on a Dragon spacecraft to the International Space Station. Now we're currently in what we call the throttle bucket, and that's because in about 30 seconds we have an event called maximum dynamic pressure, or max Q. That's the point where the vehicle experiences the highest aerodynamic stresses. So what we do is we bring down the engines a little bit, pass through that point, and then throttle back up once the atmosphere continues to drop off above that point.
Vehicle is experiencing maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Yes.
So now we're through that point of maximum dynamic pressure.
Yes.
Now coming up are a series of rapid events, main engine cutoff, then stage separation, followed by second engine start of the second stage's Merlin vacuum engine, and then the first stage is going to conduct a boost back burn, followed by a Dragon nose cone
These
deploy.
images are the best.
Now, main engine cutoff, or MECO, is where all 9 Merlin 1D engines on the first stage will shut down. Followed shortly after that is stage separation, and then a few seconds later, the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage will ignite to boost Dragon into low Earth orbit. In fact, during ascent, you heard the call out for engine chill-in of that Merlin vacuum engine. So again, coming up in about 10 seconds, MECO, stage separation, second engine start, and then stage 1 boost back burn.
There we go. MECO. Yes,
MECO.
you can see it.
Stage separation confirmed.
And second stage ignition. Beautiful.
And back ignition. Stage 1 boost back startup.
And you can hear the cheers behind me. You're looking at a successful
really
start of the Merlin vacuum engine on your right screen and the boost back maneuver on your left-hand screen of the first stage. Shortly here, we should have nose cone deploy off of Dragon, and we may be able to see that on the right-hand screen.
Can we see it flying by? Oh, there it went.
There goes the nose cone on that right-hand screen. We no longer need it now that we're out of the densest parts of the Earth's atmosphere.
Bye-bye. So that protects the docking port on top of the Dragon.
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
Oh, that was a short boost back burn.
Both vehicles are following nominal trajectories.
So in order to make its way back to landing zone 1, the Falcon 9's first stage is going to execute a series of 3 burns. The first of which is the boost back burn. We've just seen that shut
Acquisition
down.
of signal Bermuda.
It's meant to slow the rocket down and orient it for re-entry. It also helps Falcon 9 laterally return to the landing zone. Liftoff was only a few minutes ago, but we traveled a significant distance horizontally that we want to recoup. Shortly after that first burn initiated, you see some of our titanium grid fins. There's 4 of them. They're located near the top of the first stage. They're deployed at this time and help guide the rocket during descent once the atmosphere is thicker. Now, following that boost back burn, our second burn is executed. It's our entry burn. It's coming up in about 2.5 minutes. It helps the vehicle slow itself down before hitting the dense part of the atmosphere. Failing to perform this burn would put unnecessary strain on the Falcon 9. And lastly, our third burn, the landing burn, happens just before touchdown and takes the booster down softly to land, and our 4 landing legs also deploy during this final burn.
Go, go, go. I would say I love these images where you have the first stage in free fall just floating above
For those
the
of you
earth.
just joining, it's T plus 4 minutes, 55 seconds, and you can see our second stage on its way to drop off Dragon to its targeted orbit on the way to the International Space Station, and on the left-hand side here you see our Falcon 9 first stage on its way to Cape Canaveral, Florida, landing zone 1 for successful landing. Our first stage had an on-time launch at 6:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time just a few minutes ago.
Nominal trajectories.
We had a nominal ascent and ideal stage separation. We've just performed the first of 3 burns of the first stage, the boost back burn, and we're a little more than a minute away from that second burn, the entry burn. And so you see the second stage's engine is still burning bright, but on the first stage we've used most of our fuel during liftoff, and we only have so much RP1 and liquid oxygen to make those 3 burns. So instead of firing all 9 Merlin 1D engines, we're only going to fire 3 of those for the boost back burn and entry burn, the center Merlin engine and 2 perimeter engines.
Will also destroy the first stage because there would be too much force on the first stage if they used all 9 Merlin engines. Because they've lost.
We're just about 20 seconds away from that entry burn beginning, and it'll last about 30 seconds all the way to T plus 7 minutes.
They've lost and the second stage and the Dragon, which is quite a lot of mass, and then again they've lost probably about 90% of the fuel, so that is probably 85% of the mass for the first stage. So if they would turn up the 9 engine, turn on the 9 engines, it would basically destroy it.
We've heard the call out. You can see it visually.
There you go.
Our second entry burn has begun and will last for just a few more seconds.
Screaming down. I believe this actually cuts the velocity in
Stage
half.
1 entry burn shutdown.
So
2 burns down, 1 to go. The landing burn is our
Both
last
vehicles
burn.
continue to follow nominal trajectories.
It'll occur in about 30 seconds, and
There
it'll
it
last for about
goes.
30 seconds all the way until landing.
hopefully the great fins won't stall.
FDS is saved.
No, it doesn't. Looks like it's steering it. Perfect.
You can see Cape Canaveral
It's
coming
gliding.
into view. In terms of fuel
Quite a
conservation, we only fire 1 Merlin engine on this
You got
final burn.
the
Engine number
the
9, the center
vapor
engine.
Stage 1
trail. It is actually probably close to 10 degrees. Oh, there it goes through the sound barrier. Oh, wow.
Stage 1 landing bird started.
Our landing burn has begun.
Stage 2 has entered terminal guidance.
Ooh, come on. Yeah, it's gonna
Landing legs are deploying.
touchdown. Yay. Another successful run.
And-
Has landed, landing off there between
Yay.
0 and .100.
And the Falcon has landed. Congratulations to everyone here at
And
SpaceX for
we-
another successful landing. For those of you keeping score, this is our 44th successful
see
first
in
stage
speed.
recovery. This is our secondary mission at SpaceX. It's our commitment to vehicle reusability. Back to our
Back shut
primary
down.
mission.
And with Seco. Yay, all the ice flowing off.
So back to our primary mission.
Nominal orbital insertion.
We just had secondary engine cut off, and you just heard the call out for a good orbit. That's fantastic. That means that Dragon and the second stage are in low Earth orbit around the Earth. Now, the second stage does have one last major task for today's mission, and that's commanding separation of the Dragon
Is that
spacecraft
trunk view? Yeah, that's
very
trunk
shortly
view.
from now. We should
So
have
this camera
video
is
of
looking
Dragon
inside of
separation
the-
from the top of the second stage.
Looking
That's
inside
what
of
we're
the
looking
trunk.
at the moment.
And it should deploy in a few seconds.
Okay, so shortly here, and now that camera view at the top of the second stage, that looks into Dragon's unpressurized cargo portion.
Yes.
There you can see it.
There you can see
Dragon separation confirmed.
Acquisition of signal, Newfoundland.
the
You can hear
international
the
cargo.
cheers
This is
behind
Dragon
me.
CC on countdown 1.
So the
Dragon
sort of-
senses separation.
Off Dragon goes
Thanks
for
for the
its
ride.
mission to the International Space Station. The Dragon team doing a little handoff with Falcon there.
The solar panel covers are currently still on, and it will be separated in a few minutes. Hopefully we'll get to see that.
As mentioned previously, Dragon is carrying tons of cargo to the International Space Station on this mission today. A small portion of the cargo represents supplies for the astronauts, things like food and clothing and personal items, but most of the cargo represents science going up to the space station. The ISS serves as the world's leading laboratory where cutting-edge research and technology development help enable human and robotic exploration of destinations beyond low Earth orbit, including the Moon and even Mars. In about a minute, we'll have our final milestone that we'll be covering in today's webcast. It's our solar panel deploy. There are 2 solar arrays located on either side of Dragon's trunk, and at about T plus 12 minutes, they'll begin to unfold almost accordion style over about a minute or 2, and they help power Dragon on its several-day trip to the International Space Station.
This is Dragon CC on countdown 1. Dragon's propulsion system has successfully primed, and all thrusters report ready for firing.
And over the next couple days on its trip, the next milestone that occurs is opening of the GNC door, the Guidance, Navigation, and Control door. There are various sensitive components that can't be exposed to the atmosphere during liftoff that help navigate and help the Dragon understand where it
they
is
don't
on its
show
trip to
the
the space
second
station.
stage
That'll
fuel
occur a couple
again.
hours after liftoff. But we are about 15 seconds away from solar array deploy.
I love the view of the CRS-6 mission, which actually showed the solar panel covers.
Currently
flying
here on the
off.
left-hand camera, that's what we're watching for solar array deploy. The solar panels are packed right up against that camera view, and once they deploy, you'll begin to see them expand and see the rest of our gorgeous view here from Dragon as well.
Oh, there we go.
This is Dragon CC on countdown 1. Dragon is deploying its solar arrays.
And we've heard the call out. You see the expansion there.
Oh,
We've
there's
successfully
one
begun
solar
to
panel
deploy our
cover.
solar panel arrays, which will occur over the next couple minutes.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. They actually showed it. And they're locking in place, hopefully. Yes, there you go. Locked in place.
Dragon is now on its way to the International Space Station. That's going to take 2
Expected
days
loss of signal in Bermuda.
to make it to the International Space Station, and over those 2 days, Dragon will perform a series of orbital height adjust maneuvers with its Draco engines, just until it's a few kilometers away from the International Space Station. Once it's there, it will establish a direct communication link with the International Space Station, and then NASA and SpaceX will perform a series of checks to ensure that Dragon is ready to safely approach.
Yeah.
Now that once we
I
feel
can't see
confident,
how many
we will
people are
initiate
there,
that
but
slow
if
approach.
there's
There are
still
several
somebody
checkpoints
there,
along the way where we
and
continue
you still
to
want to
monitor
ask
that we
questions or
can
something,
safely
do it.
get to the International Space Station.
Because I'm gonna
Now,
go
when
outside
Dragon
in a
is
few
about
minutes.
10 meters away from the space station, we do need
And
a little bit of
I will
help from
be-
the crew aboard. The
I will
astronauts
keep this
will
on.
capture Dragon
I'll
using
come
the
back
station's robotic Canada
after
arm
I've
in a
seen
process
the
that's called
flyover of
berthing.
the Dragon.
Finally, Mission Control in Houston will send commands from the ground for the space station's robotic arm to both rotate and then install Dragon onto the station's Harmony module. Dragon will remain at the space station for about 4 weeks before it will
Go into
return
my
to Earth
Twitter.
with
It's
cargo and
up there.
research.
Up there. The other way. I'm gonna try
And at this
go
point, we
live
will
from
end
my
our
car.
webcast coverage for today's mission. To
Dragon solar
recap
arrays
what
has
happened, we
successfully
had a
deployed. We are
successful
on our way to the
launch
See
of the
you
Falcon
in
9
a
at 6:01
few
p.m.
minutes.
Eastern
I'll
Time. We had a
leave it
successful
like
stage separation,
this.
a successful 44th landing of our Falcon 9 at Landing Zone 1 at Cape Canaveral, and this is the first time a Dragon capsule is heading for its third trip to the space station. Dragon's arrival, capture, and installation to the ISS will be streamed live on NASA TV starting Saturday, July 27th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Dragon will spend about 4 weeks, like we mentioned, attached to the space station before we're returning to Earth with cargo and research to send back.
So over the next 2 days, we're going to be posting mission updates on both NASA and SpaceX's social media accounts. So please follow us there if you want to continue to get updates about today's mission. We want to give a big thanks to the Range and the Federal Aviation Administration for their support of today's mission, and a huge thanks to our customer NASA. A big congratulations to them for the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, and thanks for their continued support of SpaceX. Finally, we want to thank all of you, our viewers, for joining us today. And until the next time, we hope you have a great rest of the day.
You need to pick it up, otherwise you're not going to get another lap. Landon, is that you? Yeah. Blue flag, blue flag, blue flag. It's all gone. Look. I'm gonna get hit now. Watch out, mate. Flag, blue flag. I got it. What are you doing? What are you doing? What? Hit this time? Hold it up! Yeah. Oh, we're in trouble, guys. Oh! Yeah. Williams, esports, centipede 3. I agree. Want to ask you less than Meistens, you can always tell me how much fuel I actually have left now.
flashing his lights, the wider I'm gonna run. And I got a question for you, for everyone listening. How did you become such a mean one?
I don't know. I don't know.
Drinking a lot of milk?
Yeah, milk helps.
What kind of milk do you drink?
Full fat.
Yeah, you like that one?
Yeah, it's the best. If you're gonna drink it, you might as well go all the way.
Oh, I don't like milk.
It's like with alcohol, you know. There's no point going with something light when you can just go all the way.
Yeah, but you don't drink any alcohol.
Well, exactly.
How do you know?
Oh, well.
Microphone activated.
Max, you know there's a song about you. Super Max.
What?
Go on.
Oh my god.
It's quite good actually. Super Max.
It looked like he got netcoded rear ended. In launcher mode. Yeah, he was hit in the back by a back marker.
That's lovely, isn't it?
No.
I know all about it.
Wow, that was close.
That was close.
Oh.
Oh, zero exit. Woo!
Rain in 15 minutes.
Rain on the radar.
I think we have to box for interest.
Now. That's a Ferrari strap. Undercut with the impetus.
Oh no. I think my brake failed a bit.
Wait.
Oh!
Holy fuck.
Oh my fucking god, Max.
What are you doing?
Don't do it, because you're actually gonna crash.
Never do this again.
This brake failed.
Mate, it just failed. Alright, keep it on track. Just keep it on track.
At least you got another upgrade. It's alright.
Seriously? What the fuck?
Yeah, the little. Oh my god. Just don't fit it. Just don't fit it.
Yeah, please. What's that for?
Why in 50?
All good. You can still go to the pits and we can change the driver. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I can jump in if you want.
Yeah,
oh my god.
I think that's good.
Oh my god, it fell off. It fell off. Guys.
Wait.
No.
Brake.
You can't brake. Just stay. Just tow. Just tow the car.
Tow it.
Yeah, that's good. Tow it.
No.
Yeah, stay there.
Am I getting in?
Wait, no, don't. Wait a minute. Not really. This is maybe costing us the win now.
Are you serious, mate?
This is too much.
Guys. Yeah. Just crashing with the the wall so it's staying still.
Are you pressing? Can you press escape or what?
Yeah, it's okay.
Escape.
Escape.
Yeah.
P1, Sebastian.
P1. Gracias, ragazzi.
Grande máquina.
Get in there, Lewis.
Yeah. Get in there, Lewis.
Get in there, Lewis.
Best hands in the world.
Calm down, Kel. Yikes. I mean, talk to him! You can be scared. So can I...
Right side, clear right.
Oh. That's one way of doing it. Wow, you're pretty brave, Tanner. Left side, he's coming. Clear. I'll just rear-end everyone. Oh my god! Okay, I just want to point out I'm not the guy who spun on the base lap. Oh, did you always send it? He's gonna send it! Oh, can't shift, okay.
Oh, Jesus. Oh!
Oh, boogity. Clear low. Safety car deployed. Oh well. I enjoyed that while it lasted. I think I'm off on the... Okay, now. Give the position back. Give the position back. That guy's demanding it. Oh my god. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Okay. Oh my god! Keep going, clear. And it's alright, it's already gone. We're gonna get right back to where we started from. Love is good, love can be kind. We're gonna get right back to where we started.
Why are you streaming this? Stupid YouTube.
Oh, hi, Trevor.
Okay. Nah, I didn't see anything. Too cloudy. So yeah. Well, anyway, that wraps up this stream. Let me check again. 2019 in... Oh, no. 2019 in space flight. Let's see what the next launch is. Probably... For some reason, the... Oh, I don't think that's happening in September. First Vega, no, not launching in September. Actually, next launch is progress, 31st of July. Yeah, next week, Wednesday. I guess I'll do that. And then afterwards, probably this one will slip more because it was supposed to launch 2 days ago. But then it was delayed till the 26th, so today. And then I saw it slip to the 30th, and then right now it's going to be the 2nd. This I'm going to definitely stream, the Ariane 5. If you want to know more about the Ariane 5, by the way, I made a video about it. Go and check it out. So yeah, I think that wraps up the stream for today. So see all you guys in the next stream. This is me signing off. Bye.